Hello traders, and welcome back to another Conquer FX YouTube video. In our last video, we spoke about should we let our winners run. We broke down the exact processes you need to come up with a conclusion of how far to let those winners run, how we can use factual metrics like weekly highs and lows. And we also talked about the different variables that are available, how there's no such thing as a risk-free trade. And we also touched on the topic of greed. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about the characteristics of successful traders. So essentially, what I want to do is I want to give you a blueprint of all the different characteristics that you need to embody into your identity over the next 6 months to a year in order to actually see more success in your trading. Because at the end of the day, there are similarities across all of these successful traders. There's similarities in their daily habits and routines and their perspectives on risk, money, and day-to-day life. And it's very important for us to analyze these individuals and try to embody as many of those characteristics as possible that gives us the best chance of success. Now, before we jump into this video, there's two things I want to say. First of all, if you're interested in joining our email list for more daily tips and more breakdowns, you can hit the link in the description below. You'll also find other links there for our other services, and you can check that out yourself. The second thing I want to say is if you have been enjoying these videos, it really just takes 2 seconds to like that video. There is such a large majority of you that are watching these videos on a day-to-day basis and aren't even subscribed. So I'd really, really appreciate if you could literally just take 2 seconds of your time right now to just hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to put out more content, and overall that's going to help the community and yourself as well. So let's just get straight into the video, and I really do appreciate it. So with the characteristics of successful traders, I have summarized them down to 7 main ones, okay? And one thing that you'll see over and over again in my content is I like to try and take broader ideas and simplify them. And just like Alex Hormozi says, he's like, if you simplify shit, you'll understand shit better. And that's the way I want to really, gauge my content in a way of where we can just take complex ideas, break them down to their most simplest forms and say, hey, this is the weight of the, in this terms, these are the main characteristics that you should be focusing on. This is what matters here. This is the 20% that's going to provide the 80% of results. The first one is just general logic. And you would actually be surprised by the amount of people that actually just lack logical and critical thinking skills. They're quite similar, but logic is basically having the ability to observe and analyze reactions and feedbacks and then draw on conclusions based on that inputs. So being able to look at your surroundings, being able to look at the charts and actually take information from that, and also look at the larger picture and basically gain feedback off that and then make better based decisions off that input. Critical thinking is quite similar. It's this disciplined process of evaluating information gathered from observation, experience, and reflection. So, imagine the macro trader. They're able to take broader amounts of information. They're able to cut that down to its fine points and use critical thinking for that, and then make better informed trading decisions off that. It's quite similar to, viewing a chart as well based off intuition. Like we said, it's evaluating information gathered from observation, experience, and reflection. But one thing I really want you to focus on here is the word experience, because people underestimate experience. Intuition comes from memory and memory comes from experience. So in order to increase your intuition, you need to increase the amount of chart experience you have, the amount of experience you have on pulling the trigger on a particular strategy and just executing overall. That in itself is a skill, and it is a very important skill for the business world of trading. Next, we're going to talk about self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to focus on yourself, see the change in your mind and body based on performance. Now, these things are quite linked, or I would say self-awareness is quite linked with emotional knowledge. And I'm going to actually explain emotional knowledge, and then I'm going to combine the two of them together. Okay, so emotional knowledge is basically understanding what makes you tick, what makes you sad, angry, happy, motivated, and designing systems to control it like a switch then. So if we look at self-awareness and emotional knowledge, they come in hand, because you need to be self-aware to be able to actually understand your emotions in the first place, or see them come up during, periods of stress or, maybe difficulty in your trading and things like that. You need to be self-aware to actually spot that, hey, maybe I'm on emotional tilt at the moment or whatever else. Now, there's different ways or different strategies to be able to use this emotional knowledge and self-awareness to your advantage. So, for example, you would want to start documenting your thoughts and emotions. Now, you hear this all of the time, and just give me 2 minutes here to explain this. The majority of psychological coaches out there for trading will tell you that, hey, you need to document your emotions, you need to journal your thoughts. And you know, when we look at it just as its naked form, that all obviously makes sense. And to the average person, they would say, yeah, okay, that sounds smart. But then they never tell you what to actually do with that information or how to actually use that information. There's no point of actually just writing down your thoughts, becoming self-aware of them, but then putting no actionable solution in place to make sure that you never go on that emotional tilt again. And even with that, it actually provides us necessary data, which I'm going to talk about now. What you need to do is you need to journal your thoughts, and you need to look for information that shows that you lack clarity in certain areas of your plan. So, for example, if you're writing things down like, I think I should be moving to break even, I think I should have risked less on this trade, excuse me, I think I should be taking profits here. I think I should be, expanding my target. I think this is going to move further. I think, or I don't know, or I'm not sure, or I feel like. All of these words, these words are showing you that you lack clarity in these areas. So this is how, when we look at our thoughts and emotions, we can say, oh, I wasn't too sure about if I should move to break even there. I wasn't too sure if I should hold this trade for longer and expand my target. This allows you to then drive clarity to your trade management. Obviously, you are lacking clarity in your trade management, and your emotions can help you find where you lack clarity by, first of all, being self-aware about your emotions. So it's about being self-aware about your emotions, so your emotions can show you the triggers for where you lack clarity in your trading. And this is how we can find out where we need to drive our focus, where's most important to drive our focus to in order to improve. The next part, and it's often one where people kind of look at me a little bit, is creativity. It's having the ability to spot patterns, trends, and piece the ideas together. I actually think some of the best traders in the world are quite creative individuals, because you need to understand that we must take these different patterns that play out, and then use our own intuition to be able to basically create a mental database of when this worked and when it didn't. But more than that, we need to be able to spot patterns and then be able to test them. But even more importantly, having the courage to go and test them, which kind of links into problem solving as well. And this is what I mean. We can see all these characteristics, and they come in together really to just form one, which is the trader. But having that creative side is really going to help you in developing new strategies, but also in the problem solving. Because if you spot a problem and you are a creative individual, you'll understand how you can peel that idea together, develop hypotheses, and essentially work with all of the data to try and formulate a step-by-step process to execute on a day-to-day basis. I think creativity is very, very under, yeah, basically, a lot of people don't talk about the creative side, but it's extremely important, especially for strategy development overall. So you may not be a creative individual, but you can strengthen that muscle. You can strengthen it by repeatedly looking for patterns, by taking notes. So, for example, if you've seen something take place and you have that feeling where, I've seen this pattern take place before, write it down. If it comes up again, start to document it, look at it on a broader scale, see how you can piece it together, and what can you peel back to reveal its strengths. This is the creative process of developing strategies and strengthening them. The next part is planning. Probably one of the most important parts of a trader's routines and habits on a day-to-day basis is the planning. And planning ahead, but most importantly, then following that plan. A lot of you will probably be familiar, if you're watching my videos, from a trading point of view, you're probably going to be familiar with SMB Capital. And they even talk about the amount of times they take in new traders and they basically get them to write down on a sheet of paper what they want for that day. And what they end up doing is they actually end up trading the opposite of that. And, 7 times out of 10, what they originally wanted actually plays out. And their whole point here is that a trade doesn't change when you get into the trade. Your initial idea that doesn't, you don't just suddenly become a better trader when you get into that trade. So do your analysis with a clear mind, plan ahead so you're not making emotional decisions then when you're in the trade, and then execute that plan. If you don't get what you want, you don't get a trade. If you don't get what you want in terms of exiting the trade, you don't exit the trade. You actually have to follow your plan. There's too many times where we say we're going to hold it to this target for, X reason. And hopefully those reasons are obviously based off some sort of data statistical decision. And then we get into the trade and all of a sudden we think we're smarter. And then we start doing things to our plan. We start exiting the trade early. We then leave profit on the table, etc., etc. And because we simply didn't follow the plan, it's actually going to hurt us more times than not over the long term. And then I finally want to talk about problem solving. We kind of touched on critical thinking there at the very start. Problem solving is taking complex scenarios, putting time into understanding them, and breaking them into smaller, manageable pieces. This is very, very important to understand because such a big part of trading is going to be problem solving. On a day-to-day basis, you're tackling problems with your mind and understanding, why do I feel this way? Why do I have extra anxiety today? And the other side is you're going to be tackling things like drawdown. Why is my system underperforming this month? Maybe there's a weakness here that I've never experienced before in its testing. And how do I plan on handling that for the future? How can I take this information and actually optimize my strategy to make sure that this never happens again? And also on the positive side, if you're winning in a massive winning streak, how can I make sure this winning streak lasts as long as possible? Or how can I make sure to increase the amount of winning streaks I have? What is different about this winning streak compared to the kind of more fluctuation of trades in the previous month? This is problem solving, and you're going to have to problem solve on a day-to-day basis and fall in love with the process of problem solving. It is a necessary part of trading. It is a necessary part of being a trader, and it's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. So you better get to love creativity, planning, problem solving, critical thinking, logical thinking, self-awareness, and emotional knowledge, because these are the characteristics of successful traders. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, I really, really appreciate it if you could subscribe, if you could just hit that like button. And also, if you have any questions, we're breaking down things now. So this was requested. What are the characteristics of successful traders? I wrote them down. There was a request. I got a question asked, should you let winners run? We broke a detailed video down about that as well, which I'll probably leave somewhere here at the top where you can click and watch it. But actually go and comment down below if you have a question. Eventually we will get to them and your question will be answered. Like I said, again, if you are interested in our email list, you can click the link in the description below. You'll find all of our other links there as well. Please like, subscribe, comment, and you'll find all of our socials on those links as well. So really appreciate your time here today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.